the 10 to 1 podcast with your host, Brad Oman, featuring Ben Conowitz and Nate Laux. And here's the podcast. Woohoo!
Oh, yeah!
CSI Miami opening?
Hey Ben.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you $100 right now, and you know I don't have a lot of money.
So this is a big bet for him.
If you can name me 4 Jack Harlow songs,
I can't name one. Gosh darn it! And I told you I was going to listen to one, and I didn't even listen to the ones at the SNL. I didn't listen to them.
You didn't miss much.
I'm sure they're fine.
I listened to the first maybe minute of his first performance, and I was like, "This guy's not for me."
It's fine. He's very popular.
You know what? Good for him for making music, and good for him for creating a life for himself. Just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, congratulations, hip hop Thomas Middleditch. You did it, guys. Jack Harlow hosted this episode, and he pulled double duty as host and musical guest for his debut time hosting, which is exactly what Megan Thee Stallion did previously as well. So they're really into giving these musicians a shot at hosting the show and singing their songs and doing some jokes.
You know, at the 10 to 1 podcast, we allow anyone to come in and host, and we will judge you fairly. But Jack Harlow, man, I'm telling you, we had some great sketches. Jack Harlow was not a great host, in my opinion.
Yeah, so this was
and I loved some of the sketches, which was the hard thing for me.
This was a pretty good episode. I definitely enjoyed it. I don't want to say he was terrible because he wasn't.
It's terrible. Yeah.
What I will say though is, even though he wasn't a great actor, he did what I wish Megan Thee Stallion would have done, which is he dropped that persona of Jack Harlow for the most part. He did a variety of characters. He just wasn't.
He tried.
He just wasn't the best at performing them. And I don't want to say that Megan Thee Stallion didn't try, because she had fun.
Try to drop.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did appreciate that. But yeah, I will in general I will agree. Jack Harlow,
he's not a talented,
not a Justin Timberlake
sketch comedian.
Yeah.
Of course not.
That's what I felt like. Are they trying to create maybe a younger Justin Timberlake that can maybe have a little bit of personality? Because he has a new role coming out in White Men Can't Jump. These kind of things.
Yeah,
and clearly he can act because he was in this movie. And so,
well, hopefully,
we have not seen the movie,
and we've seen plenty of people in movies who can't act. So.
I know, but I have faith in that movie. Honestly, I do. I think it's gonna be fun.
I have less faith now.
Well, I'm on the fence because I love the trailer for House Party, but Jack Harlow wasn't so great a performer in this. But maybe he'll be kind of playing a version of himself in a way in White Men Can't Jump. So
we tend to try to judge the host that is a famous person, not for acting. When there's a host that is a famous person but not for acting, we tend to judge them on, are they willing to make fun of themselves and are they willing to try anything?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Jack Harlow fit the categories there pretty well.
Yeah.
He clearly made fun of himself in the monologue a lot.
Yeah.
And then he also was, pretty much down for anything.
A ready and willing host who
is great.
Wanted to have a good time, definitely enjoyed himself, but
something that we like,
but wasn't able to show the acting chops, at least in this live sketch comedy set.
Couldn't pull it off.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And they did not write an episode around, for instance, like you brought up Megan Thee Stallion before. Now, Megan Thee Stallion's a brand, right?
Yeah.
And she has a persona. Maybe Jack Harlow does. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like it. He did buy into it. He just didn't have the acting chops.
Yeah, exactly.
But I ended up liking him, though. Honestly.
No, I did. I thought that he was affable enough and clearly trying hard enough. And it was enough there for me to like the guy, even though I literally know nothing about him.
And I still don't care about his music.
I never will. But it was like, oh man, I feel like if I hosted the show, like that's about where I would be. Like they'd be like, yeah, he was real bad, but he was down for anything.
It's so funny because you think
you're being too hard on yourself.
In the back of your mind, though, you do think like I'd kill it if I was on there.
No
but
way.
you would come out of that hallway. You would those doors would open. You would see the people, and you'd be like,
I'd shit my pants.
I would watch it.
Exactly.
I would watch it on Peacock the next day and be like, huh. Okay,
so
not that great.
Camera adds a couple 100 pounds, I guess.
I'm gonna stay a gutter guy, I guess. Like this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, we can't do this, right? It's so hard. So I and also double duty. Double duty.
I'm not gonna say I can't do this.
No, double duty.
Because even though I'm not a seasoned comedian, I'm not a professional performer by any means. I wanna say that if I had the time to prep and I was able to do this the same process and everything like that, I have confidence enough in myself that I think that I could do a decent job.
Brett,
rapping?
hey,
Oh, I thought you were talking about hosting SNL.
Brad believes in himself.
To be fair, I'm
double duty. That's hard.
Well, no, not double duty, because of course, but I'm not. But that's.
But Brad, if you were the musical guest, what would you sing?
I would probably do a cover
All
of
the single ladies.
I would do a Weird Al song at the top, and
At the top, not during the musical performance?
no, during the monologue, I'm gonna do a Weird Al song.
I do love a good musical number during the monologue.
Yes.
So yes.
Do it during the first musical performance. I would do a folksy version of a rap,
Okay.
and then for the final one, I would do Space Jam.
A spoken word reading of the script?
No,
Yes.
or like the fun, like it's the Space
Yeah,
Jam.
that's clearly
Like that
what
one.
he meant.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got a real jam going on. Welcome to the Space
You're
Jam.
killing it right now.
Yeah, see,
I
this is what I'm saying.
So how about that cold open, Nate?
No, but did you guys know that Jack Harlow was on SNL before? Do you remember that? Which episode was it?
Jason Sudeikis.
No, he was not. It was before we started the 10 to 1 podcast. It was in season 46.
Ooh, just
episode
before we started.
15. Yep. Host. You probably remember this episode, actually. It was host Maya Rudolph. She came back and hosted, and he was a musical guest. I didn't remember him.
I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, but I do remember her episode.
So then
but
he
I don't-
wasn't on the show. He was just a musical guest.
I mean,
Well, did he appear in his sketch or no?
I don't know if he did or not, but I mean, he was on the show, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a musical
That's not
guest.
really
But
on the show.
all right, cold open. Let's get to it. Obviously, it's political season. We're just, we're recording this.
If I never see a political ad again, I say, every time this comes around, I'll be a happy person.
Okay, but here's the thing: is we are literally a week or so away from the election. They're going to run.
Of
political
course.
action.
I'm not mad at them. For
I
doing
get it.
this.
No,
I
no,
get
no.
it.
Be mad at them because these fucking
Hold on.
No,
Hold on.
these
No.
You
advertisements.
can be mad about the execution.
No,
Yes.
I'm going to be mad about the advertisements in general. I don't want to see this shit. This is not how the game should be run. You shouldn't have to see television commercials for every commercial and every commercial break whenever there's things like this.
Wait, what?
I don't.
Wait,
I
what?
don't, I don't
No,
understand what you're talking
saying.
about.
I don't want to see political commercials.
What are you talking about?
But we're talking about the cold open.
No. You mentioned something about political commercials.
No. What?
No, did I bring it up first?
Yes. What the hell? Honestly, did you snap?
I blacked out.
Joey, like we were literally talking about there's a political
I know.
open.
I feel like Ben and I were on the same page here, and you just.
Oh
like,
no, I did want to go on this tangent because as I was watching SNL, every time I fast forwarded through commercials and it would be like 10 seconds ahead.
It's terrible
every
right
single
now.
one
It's
was a
terrible.
political
No,
ad.
and that's fair.
No, you shut up. These political ads. I'm through. I'm through with the political ads. I'm
What about
sick of it.
back to the show?
Okay, so back
What
to the show
about
that I watched that didn't have ads.
what about political cold opens? PBS NewsHour Republican Momentum cold open.
If I have to hear about Mark Bersan one more time through the Chicago
even
political
know.
advertisements,
I don't even know what you're
I don't
saying right
even
now, and
know
no
what
one
it
else
was.
does
Yeah.
either. We watch.
people who watch
I'm gonna
people
pay-
who are on the Chicago affiliate and watch the news or things on NBC,
I'm gonna buy you
ABC,
Peacock.
CBS,
Okay.
Fox.
I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna
I'm
give
buying
you.
you Peacock Premium, so you just
No,
watch
here's the
it
thing: is
without
or better
commercials,
yet,
buddy.
I'm gonna give you a tip.
I have Peacock Premium. Peacock Premium is the one that without commercials. That's the mid tier that still has some commercials.
Whatever. I'll buy you the high level that I
Okay,
have.
but I'm gonna
with
give
no
you a
commercials.
tip.
Jesus.
Ad blocker
You can't use ad blocker through YouTube TV.
on YouTube regular.
But I don't watch SNL like a derelict like you do.
So there's a cold open
All right.
Another thing about political ads.
Can,
Oh
can I
my
at least
God.
can I at least explain what the cold open is? Okay.
because we have 1 hour. We have 1 hour.
PBS NewsHour Republican Momentum cold open. So PBS NewsHour host Judy Woodruff, played by Heidi Gardner, interviews Republican candidates Herschel Walker, played by Kenan Thompson, Dr. Oz, played by Maggie Day, and Carrie Lake, with Cecily Strong back as their numbers continue to surge in the polls. So it is kind of depressing because their numbers do continue to surge. That is not wrong. It was so good to have Cecily Strong back. I'm going to give you, again, this is going to really, really make Brad mad. She's going to be my MVP of this episode.
Well, don't do it out of order.
See? I just loved having her back. It felt all is right in this world. I did not love this cold open.
Yeah, I did one thing I did appreciate is that
Mikey Day's impression of Dr. Oz is just Mikey Day.
yes. No, but what I did like about this cold open is that they didn't go the expected route as far as the setup for the punditry and like the interviews and stuff like that. It was even though it was a small change of pace and didn't make the sketch better necessarily, I like that they used something like PBS NewsHour instead of Fox News or CNN or something like that.
I get that. Yep.
It added a nice change of pace to it, even though what Heidi Gardner doing wasn't necessarily like a super accurate impression or anything like
and that doesn't matter. The thing that matters to me is when Kenan Thompson now has latched onto a character and can make him like Steve Harvey and like he's done before. He takes a real person and exaggerates well, in this case, not so much of an exaggeration, but it's still super funny. What
in this case, Herschel Walker is like Anthony Crispino with a head injury.
It's true. It really is.
We're gonna have to get used to it because Herschel Walker's going to the Senate, boys.
And it's good for comedy, bad for America, which is my platform.
Actually, I think that's the entire Republican Party's platform.
Good for comedy, bad for America.
Yeah.
So it's silly and stupid, and he does.
It wasn't the worst political cold open. No,
it gives them.
No, not in the least.
It gives them so much to work with the Herschel Walker stuff, and they're clearly having a good time coming up with the most insane things you could possibly say. And Kenan is crushing it as that, right? And Heidi Gardner's, keeping it even keel. Mikey Day's not doing really an impression. I get that. What was the third person?
Carrie Lake.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Cecily Strong.
So,
I don't know if you know Carrie Lake, but Cecily Strong nailed it.
Little bit of housekeeping here about the episode in general and how it goes. They didn't used to do this, but they clearly talked to the audience beforehand and said, Cecily's going to come on. We can't have a 5-minute standing ovation for her because there wasn't any reaction. And that usually they will let that go wild.
Yeah, but they didn't have that reaction when A.D. Bryant came back after being gone for a while, or the first time Cecily was gone for a while.
What about when
last year though, even the year before, I remember if you had a guest star on, it would go crazy.
Well, that's always the case, though.
But also, like Kate McKinnon's first
when
appearance
she came back, didn't they do a pretty big
nuts? And
but that's different, though. That's a weekend update thing. Like whenever the times that I remember in recent years, since Lauren has allowed the cast to go off and do things for a little bit and not be around for episodes, like when Pete Davidson was gone for a while, they didn't give him a huge reception when you saw him in a sketch. They cheered for him when he comes to the weekend update desk because that's what he does, and people get excited about that.
I feel like normally I would have seen a bigger reaction from the audience when Cecily Strong has her first appearance as a character from being gone for a while. She would have gotten like a lot more like.
I don't think that's ever happened with cast members coming back after being gone for a little bit.
They typically though don't do that. They're not gone typically. Like
of course. It's a
new thing that Lauren's allowing.
Yeah, over the past few years, it's been a normal thing.
Now it is a different though audience, right? That watches the dress rehearsal to the actual show. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Two different audiences.
So yeah, you would think that they would have maybe perhaps.
I thought
I don't know if they did. I could see them perhaps doing that. Sometimes on the Reddit subreddit for SNL, somebody that's went to the show will write, essentially their experience with it, some of the things that happened off the camera. I did not get to see that this episode. It would be an interesting thing to ask.
I just feel like for whatever reason, my gut is telling me that somebody talked to the
I felt that way when I saw Cecily Strong. I'm like, yes, she's back.
Yeah, and it was very subdued though. The audience, it wasn't even there wasn't even anything. And I normally would see it just says something, and there was nothing. That's all. Little.
I will say I think that maybe in the spring when the weather is better again, that we should try to get into SNL.
We've been saying that for years.
I know. We just got to do it finally.
I just got to pull that trigger, boys.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate, leave your family for a whole weekend.
I've been looking for a reason. All right. Jack Harlow's monologue. First-time host Jack Harlow talks about the big year he's had with his music. Again, Ben, big fan. Filming his movie White Men Can't Jump and being roasted by people on the internet. Jack Harlow's timing isn't great. He's not a comedian. He's not even all that charismatic. I did find him kind of lovable.
A lot of hand gestures.
Yep.
Very, very rap hand gestures.
Yep. I did find him kind of lovable though. Like he more than I thought I would, honestly.
He's lovable in the way of like when you go to your friend's house and he has an older brother and that older brother feels like maybe on the cusp of being like a skeezy drug dealer, but they're actually kind of a cool guy.
Exactly. You initially think they are, but you're like, actually, I think that's just honest to who they are.
This monologue for me was two things. Number one, it was at its best when, of course, he was making fun of himself, and the audience really loved that, especially like drawing Justin Timberlake from memory.
Yeah.
It's a great joke, right? So it's great there. And then can anybody, and I mean this in a real way, can anybody tell me what the fuck happened when he interviewed.
Seriously, because like
was that even scripted? I'm not joking.
That's the thing is, I think that
what
it seemed like it was going to be your typical audience Q&A bit,
and I do love those.
Yeah,
I do.
But this one, I wonder.
Give it up for Monica, everybody. One more time for Monica, everybody, and get back and say, we got a great show. What the fuck was that?
I wonder if he made a request that he just wanted to have a spontaneous moment during the monologue, and he's like, I just want to go out to the audience, ask somebody a question, and because it's live, and we can do that.
I just can't
and that's
believe
it.
The writers wouldn't want that scripted, though.
And I can't believe Lauren would allow that, honestly.
But maybe, because like maybe.
Well, it was bad.
It was just
it didn't work.
It just didn't make any sense because like he asked a question and she's like, "Oh, I'm a big Jack Harlow fan."
Like, why are you here tonight?
Go. Cool. Thanks a lot. See you later.
It was so weird.
What?
And it wasn't even that charming either. That was the weird thing.
You know what? It would have been amazing if he would have walked up and said, like, tell me something about you. I hate Jack Harlow.
Yeah.
That would have been funny, but instead it was so easy.
Or somebody being like, I really thought Justin Timberlake was going to be tonight. Like something like that.
What the hell was that? Honestly, what the hell was that? I'm so interested to see if there's anything that comes out in the next week or so. Like, why did that happen?
So I could also tell he was trying, right?
Yes.
We've seen monologues where people just kind of phoned it in, and he did seem to want to do well.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel bad saying I don't think he did that well.
Of course not.
Because I feel like he was trying to do well.
Yeah.
And that's admirable, in my opinion. But
they had a couple of pretty good, I look like jokes or whatever. That was clever. I was fine with it. I really wish they would have done something better, with it, but that's it.
So the next sketch is one that I kind of starred because I'm anxious to hear what you guys think about this sketch. Joker Wedding. A bride played by Heidi Gardner and the groom, Jack Harlow, are stunned when the best man dresses like the Joker, played by Andrew Dismukes, James Austin Johnson as the marriage officiant, and Chloe Feynman, who is a cousin, Mikey Day, an uncle, Sarah Sherman, a grandmother, as family members. Jeff Probst, you're a big Jeff Probst fan, Ben, from Survivor, cameos as himself.
What's your favorite song by Jeff Probst?
Oh, it's got to be Jack Harlow's When It Rains.
That's interesting that Jeff Probst has a song called Jack Harlow's When It Rains.
It's a whole bit that they do.
Yeah.
That's why he was on the show. Did you not know that?
That's interesting. I appreciate your knowledge.
This was going nowhere. I will say that Jeff Probst coming out and adding the Survivor bit was odd, but at least it kept me interested for a second.
Also, they had the Survivor music first, and then I'm like, that sounds like a reality show. And then it made more sense when Jeff Probst comes out. I was fine, honestly, with the Southern accents and the Joker thing and Andrew Dismukes really buying into this thing. And that was fine. When they went to the guests, that's where they lost me.
No.
I liked it.
You said they lost you.
No, I liked it the as it was going, and then when they went to the audience to do the grandmother and whatever, that's where it fell apart for me.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm telling you, you're wrong. Because for me, A, I love this sketch, and B,
you genuinely loved it.
Genuinely loved it, and the increasing absurdity is what like I was not expecting them to go through with a full vote and ask the audience. Mm-hmm. The fact that that everyone did have differently absurd Southern drawls, and then just as a complete out of left field thing, having Jeff Probst up and turn this into a Survivor thing. The fact that this is a sketch based around Heath Ledger's Joker and it's a Survivor bit makes it feel like it's a sketch from 2008.
It's not Heath Ledger's Joker.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, so it's 100% Heath Ledger's Joker. Are you fucking kidding?
Oh, I thought it was what's his nuts? Joaquin Phoenix.
No.
Oh. Sorry.
It feels like it's a sketch from 2008, but it doesn't feel like a dated sketch. It was just absurd and silly and fun. And I loved that they kept so frequently and rapidly repeating Joker. The way that they everyone said it was hilarious.
Yeah, somebody counted them, and there's 38 times that they said Joker.
Absurd, silly. But this is again another instance where this was a sketch I felt like could have easily been in the 10-1 slot, and it was prime time right after the monologue, which blew my mind.
I can't. This is one of those sketches where I can't tell if I love it or hate it until I watch it a couple more times, and it's got to percolate with me because there were things that kind of almost drove me nuts about it. Because again, the premise is kind of silly, and I don't know if silly in a good way. You know what I mean? There needs to be a believability about it for me to it needs to be silly, but also have some kind of footprint in reality for me to really love it. And there is some of that. I do a lot of weddings. I'm a pastor, these kind of things. So, and I've been to weddings where
People have dressed as Joker.
No, but people dressed as things that like are just like not wanting to wear the thing that they should wear because they're,
Yeah.
buddy's best friend kind of thing, or the buddy thinks he's being funny and he's really just ruining his buddy's wedding.
Because he's dressed like Joker.
Yeah, and so that part of me actually did resonate with me.
Joker.
I just don't know. I don't know if I love the sketch or not. That's right.
I loved it. It's hilarious. Ben, I'm surprised you aren't just gushing about Heidi Gardner in this sketch.
No, I was
well, again, though, that was his best part. Is
I really enjoyed Heidi Gardner in this sketch. She was phenomenal. I'm just hoping that she just divorces her husband.
the next sketch must have been written very quickly.
Is that what it's called?
No, but because this whole thing that's played out it is a take on an actual event that happened where Kanye gets dropped by Adidas and he goes
Immediately went to Skechers.
But that only happened like 2 or 3 days before the episode aired.
Yeah.
So we can talk about the quality of what this is. I'm just saying I am impressed at how quickly, because this was a pre-tape, how quickly they came up with the idea, how quickly they executed the idea, and they got it to the show.
And headsets that actually looked like a Skechers store.
Yep. So this is a Skechers commercial. Various Skechers employees, played by Cecily Strong, Bowen Yang, Chloe Feynman, Marcelo Hernandez, and Punky Johnson, talk about the real-life event of Kanye getting rejected by Skechers. There's an appearance by James Austin Johnson as Mike Lindell as well. I actually did like this sketch. I thought it was funny enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite sketch. I liked it. I liked the take on it. I thought it was really funny. Because I never even thought about the humor of Skechers. I like the idea when Kanye leaves, people looking at each other saying, did we just say no to Kanye? You know what I mean? This idea that, because he is, as crazy as Kanye is, dude is a walking dollar sign.
Yeah.
He really is.
Among other walking things.
Yeah.
But I think what I appreciate most about this sketch is how it dances the line of like probably what Skechers employees were probably thinking like, wow, so like we're pretty cool for driving Kanye, but also isn't it kind of cool that he came to us?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That is the impetus for the sketch, and honestly, it walks that line perfectly.
Yep.
But it still feels like, I think, a rough cut version of the sketch.
For sure. And
there's some stuff in here that doesn't quite land, and it feels like they left in like the same jokes but different versions, and they didn't cut the worst ones.
If you go back and rewatch it, the ones that always hit for me was Cecily Strong. She says, there's a couple lines where she's like, I'm proud to work for Skechers. I mean, when's the last time I've said that?
It is so great though, because it's like, we turned him down, but oh my god, they really did that well. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I
didn't love it, but I liked it.
Thought it could have been better assembled.
But again, man, I want to point out
2 days before
the fact that this was written and executed, and it looked good
for you SNL, because it was polished enough as far as the set design and all that stuff.
Yeah,
production value. But could have been punched up a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Halloween red carpet show. Host Cecily Strong, Mikey Day. Talked to various characters played by Chloe Feynman, Devin Walker, Marcelo Hernandez. Host Jack Harlow, Bowen Yang, Molly Kearney, James Austin Johnson, Keenan Thompson.
It's Molly Carney, by the way.
Oh, Carney, saying thank you. And Michael Longfellow or Longbottom on this show. Did you catch Cecily Strong was Tina LaFey?
Yes.
So, Ben, what did you think of this one?
So this is a great this is a throwback to when they had 39 cast members. They were like, how can we get literally everybody in here? And this is a great bit to do that. This gives Jack Harlow a huge tampon costume so that they can hide the fact that he can't act. They're trying very hard. He just has to say Sigma over and over again. I wish there was more with what they were doing. Like, the premise is there. The jokes maybe weren't as strong as they could have been, especially considering you can do literally anything here. And they chose the things they chose. And, the dinosaur drunk guy falling down, and the dad his son's a Chipotle bag because of Sheila. Like, those are clever enough. It felt like
that's
it could have been.
It
could have been more.
Yeah, this felt like a real missed opportunity, because the premise, like treating this like an awards show, red carpet kind of style thing, is a very funny idea. but the things that they chose to use as like the people on the streets, like there are so many funnier things that could have been inspired by real life that would have rang more true and been funnier. Like even the things that like did ring true, like the Chloe Fineman as the drunk girl trying to get her Uber. It wasn't nearly as good as it could have been.
And I think that it's almost because it was too accurate. Like there's no escalation there. Chloe Fineman's character was just like, I've seen that girl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's not funny. It's gotta be more, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this, as our listeners may or may not know, we have another podcast where we probably talked about this more, but because we just got done on our podcast, Go Flix Yourself, having a month of Halloween movies. And if you listen to that, you know that Ben is a huge, huge Halloween fan. And so I was
Falloween, as he calls it.
Of course, Brian
like
calls it
idiot.
Falloween but I want to talk. What I did love about this is the idea of wearing a costume when people don't get it. Have you ever worn a costume where you thought it was going to be great and people didn't give you the response?
Absolutely. I've got the best one.
Yeah, go.
Honestly, last year.
He dressed up as Thor and someone thought he was homeless.
No, it's actually worse than that. I dressed up. I watched the show Letterkenny. I'm a big fan. And so there is a character on Letterkenny that everybody hates. And he's a piece of shit. And he wears a white T-shirt and he wears a hat and he's a belt and he's just kind of a guy, McMurray. I'm a piece of shit. And he's an in shape guy. And I wore this. I think this is a couple years ago. Because that was the night you wore the Wreck-It Ralph costume.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to Brad. Yep.
Yeah. And we went to Journeyman Distillery in Three Oaks, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Halloween party. And I showed up as McMurray. And I was so fat that no one knew who I was. And I mean that. Like I wore, because he tucks it in his white T-shirt. And all it looked like was I was a farmer with an enormous gut. And I didn't look like McMurray at all. I just looked like a fat piece of shit. And I remember thinking like, oh, I fucked this up.
So
I really made a mistake.
Did you have
here.
anybody ask you, so what are you?
Yeah, all night.
That reminds me of
all night.
That reminds me of
I'm sorry, real quick. There was a guy that was dressed as Wayne from the show, and he looked exactly like Wayne from Letterkenny. And he walks up and goes, "Who are you?" Like, what is? Oh,
Did you change your story ever?
No, I was just sad a lot.
In college, I went to a party around Halloween time. And it wasn't explicitly a Halloween party, but like some people were in costume. But this was during a time when trucker hats were cool, track jackets were cool.
They're still cool.
I was wearing just regular clothes. I was wearing a track jacket with a trucker hat and like cargo shorts and a button down under and something like that. And someone came up to me and they were like, "Are you Michael Moore?"
Oh. And did you say yes?
I was like, "Yep."
I love that.
Nailed it. So yeah, it's we all have embarrassing fat costume stories.
Real quick, I know we got to really move through this episode, but I will say Brad Oman is famous because I have a Halloween party, and every year he's famous for dressing up as an SNL character. Honestly, you've done it like
I've done it most of the years.
Send me some pictures. I'll post them on.
Please. He's been
stuff.
Anthony Crispino.
I did Drunk Uncle. I did Harry Carey. I did Burt Reynolds from Celebrity Jeopardy.
And that was my favorite, by the way.
Me and my girlfriend Brittany were Garth and Kat from Weekend Updates.
Send me some
They're
pictures.
really good,
and we'll
man.
get them posted
I'm
to our
so.
Facebook and,
I think that the Turd Ferguson one was maybe my favorite, but you looked probably the most like either Anthony Crispino or Drunk Uncle was. Drunk Uncle was amazing.
We're gonna get into Drunk Uncle.
And my favorite thing is to like do bits the whole night.
Yeah.
Like I would go to people and be like, "Hey, have you heard this?" And I would tell them,
Great Drunk Uncle.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, moving on. AA meeting. An AA meeting takes an unexpected turn. It stars Michael Longfellow, Jack Harlow, Bowen Yang, Kenan Thompson, Cecily Strong, Molly Carney, Tom Hanks, the great Tom Hanks, the elder statesman Tom Hanks.
Oh, Grandpa Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I can tell you guys this. When he came in, I was so excited for a second, and then so sad because my hero Tom Hanks, who I love so much.
I just don't get it. You guys, he's old now. I get it.
I know, but it makes me sad because
he looked old when he was in the COVID episode.
I know, but
he didn't look as old as he does now.
He's
though.
66.
Yeah,
he looked wrinkly.
Something has happened in the past few years.
Like, you know what I think it is? He's looking skinnier and less. Like, he never was muscly, but like
he looks like he's lost weight from being old.
Yep, exactly. No, they do. Like, people get that. They just get more frail.
Fine.
And again, I know he's getting older. I know all
he's
the people.
He's got this certain wrinkle around his neck.
I know. It's called being 66. It happens.
I did love though that the characters. So this is about like essentially Jack Harlow plays somebody in AA who, quite frankly, is still drinking. Who had a drink earlier in the day.
The best joke in the sketch.
Yeah,
and also this is his best performance.
It did well. But the suitcases that he talks about, like, oh, those look like characters that could be in the Brave Little Toaster.
Yes, they definitely were not Pixar characters. They were very poor design.
This sketch worked for me the whole way through.
Oh yeah, I really like this.
I did so much.
It wasn't necessarily super laugh out loud hilarious.
No,
it was more charming than anything.
Solid though.
Yeah, it was a solid sketch.
The song.
The reveal of Cecily Strong was perfect.
Absolutely. They're holding out for that one, and then also the keyboard slides in, and that's so weird. It really honestly it worked. It was such a great sketch.
And then like random the last 4 seconds puppetry.
Yeah. And then they went from immediately this is part of the sketch to and here's how we made it.
Yep.
And again, I love when they do that. So yeah, this was great. This is my sketch. I love this one.
It was very, very funny. I enjoyed it.
Now we're gonna get into this at a few more sketches, but as soon as you saw Tom Hanks, did you think he's gonna do David S. Pumpkin?
Yes.
No. And
what?
No, I honestly
didn't either.
Hadn't crossed my mind. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is the Halloween episode. I wasn't thinking anything about that. If anything, what I was thinking was, why is Tom Hanks here? Is he friends with Jack Harlow?
I mean, he's been on the show a ton.
Is Chet Hanks friends with Jack Harlow?
Probably is.
Probably is.
Wait, that wasn't Chet Hanks?
But yeah, so I was not expecting it. And honestly, even when Bobby Moynihan showed up at Weekend Update, I still was not thinking, oh, they're definitely going to do another David S. Pumpkin. So yeah, I was caught off guard by it entirely.
I guess I was really thinking about Halloween when I sat down to watch.
Well,
this.
you love Halloween. So,
I do.
Yeah.
And so no, I mean I saw that coming, and especially when Bobby hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you start talking about Halloween, your dick gets as hard as a bit of honey.
Well, those are pretty hard.
Moving on. All right, A horrifying movie trailer depicts the scariest outcomes for the 2024 election with Chloe Feynman, Mikey Day, Heidi Gardner, Bowen Yang, and Punky Johnson. You know, we if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that we're all fairly liberal, probably people living in a conservative state, though we don't always love the takes that the SNL writers do on politics, and we just kind of get bored with them. I like this one, and here's why. It brings up Ron DeSantis, which I think is, again, I think 2024 is going to be, it's going to be a hell on earth, right? You're going to have Trump, you're going to have Ron DeSantis, all these things. I like, though, what this does is it doesn't really necessarily even make it about the Republicans. It makes it about the anxiety amongst the Democrats. Yeah. Because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You've got Joe Biden, who, again, the calculator comes out, which I thought was even funny, is going to be 80-some years old. Nobody's sure if they like Kamala
By the way,
Harris.
that math part was just smart. Yeah. It was just so funny.
Nobody knows who's, like oftentimes in politics, who's on the bench. Nobody really knows, honestly. But we know that the Republicans seem to know who their bench is, and that scares people. So I like this because it really, for me, tapped into something I think that's actually there that hasn't been talked a lot about, and anxiety about 2024.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
I enjoyed the premise of the sketch. I feel like it went on a little bit too long, and like they kind of just did variations on the same bit with a new name. I appreciate the effort they put into making it stylized like a horror movie, and did that kind of thing.
That was the best part of it for me.
Yeah. I think I like that it was something different about this topic, and that they didn't do, something that they typically do when it comes to their political satire. There was at least some effort, and it was something different in their approach.
And again, it wasn't as much as you could. I mean, there were certainly some jokes about but can they beat DeSantis kind of, thing. But it really wasn't about the Republicans, because again, SNL is obviously a fairly progressive show with filled with progressive
It
writers.
was really about who do we have? Oh no.
Yep.
Right.
This is going to not be good for us.
This the strength of it, besides being shot really well and the production value was great, was also, I'm not joking, every time that they came up with a new person that, oh no, I kept falling for it, honestly. And so in my opinion, it did go on slightly long, but not maybe as long as you viewed it as, because when they did the Beto postcard, I was like, oh, that's the bit. And then I was like,
or the
shit.
Hillary one.
I go, oh, wait, shit, Bernie. Oh, now they're mad.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Hillary. Oh, you're right. I just kept forgetting how many Democrats don't want that. And then they circle back to Biden and like that. It wrapped it up. Honestly, it wasn't, they came full circle and it worked.
But the real horror is that,
This is real.
We don't have anybody.
Exactly. And again, I do
We
think
have Kamala. She's going to be great.
many people have thought this before, right? I mean, again, as listeners might not know, I host a political podcast as well and radio show, local politics for statewide Indiana stuff. But this is going on. These conversations are happening. And I loved it, again, because I didn't think that it was satire worthy, but they did it well.
Yeah.
So
It was good.
all right, moving on to my least favorite sketch of the night, bartenders. Things go awry when a couple of tableside flair bartenders, played by Jack Harlow and Bowen Yang, make drinks for a group of business people. Also starred Michael Longfellow, Cecily Strong, Keenan Thompson, and Heidi Gardner as the attendants, and Marcelo Hernandez as the DJ. I'm going to guess that Brad probably loved this sketch. Did you, Brad?
No, this was the worst sketch of the night for me as well.
Honestly, one of the worst of the season for me.
The timing was just very poor. There were aspects of the physical comedy that were amusing.
So funny.
I actually thought
wrote the same thing.
I thought that it was funny when they smashed the bottles. And I liked the visual of seeing the residual splash on the cast members sitting at the table. But yeah, just the delivery, especially from Jack Harlow, was not good in this. Bowen Yang tried as he might to make it work, but it just really fell flat for me, and I did not enjoy it.
When you rely on physical comedy, especially choreography, because that's a form of physical comedy, and clearly Jack Harlow did not know the choreography. And so it looked like Bowen Yang doing the choreography and Jack Harlow just trying to follow him.
I will say
that was painful. Honestly, it was painful to watch.
The one, I think, good joke and like good construction of it is that the entire sketch is based around the idea of these characters pre-existing and wanting to get revenge on these people.
The
joke that got me laughing is we don't bend to lesbian TikTok, which I thought was hilarious. But Ben, what'd you think?
So I just, in moments like these when it's such a bad sketch, I always wonder, like, at the table when they're pitching ideas and they're like, somebody has this in their mind, in a perfect world, what did they want this sketch to be?
Yeah.
Because if this even if the choreography was perfect and Harlow nails his lines and Bowen Yang, they're so in sync, and they do the muscle pose at the end and the bottles break exactly where they're supposed to and the splash is happening, that's still a terrible sketch.
Part of me thinks that the choreography was not meant to be like perfect.
Sure,
as part of the
so
bit.
that makes it even worse.
But it was so bad.
So then again, okay, so the choreography is not supposed to be perfect. So then, what is the point of the sketch?
If they executed like they were supposed to, it was even less funny.
Hell did
I think they were relying on the physical aspect of like whenever they have like a lot of liquid flying around or like something like that.
Okay, that's fair. I think that then if we're going to really dive into this a little bit, then it would be the fact that you need to build a universe that could exist in the real world and in which real consequences, like improv, right?
Yeah.
Real consequences. The first time that they spilled a drink anywhere, even on the table, somebody would have got up from the table and been like, what the hell? But instead, you're showering glass and liquid on these patrons, and they're just sitting there taking it. And it just wouldn't happen.
And listeners might remember again from the episode, two episodes ago, we praised a sketch by Brendan Gleeson where, again, a lot of physical comedy and there's a lot of blood going everywhere. You got to make it so absurd,
right?
That the absurdity is
in
the
that
funny
moment,
part.
though. Do you remember the reaction from the people it was happening to?
Yep,
was a thing. These were four characters.
That's what I'm saying.
Sitting
exactly
stone faced, having this happen to them with no reaction.
If you're going to make the physical part
scripted lines,
the funny
which
part,
were like, I think this is pretty bad. It's like, okay, Keenan, that's a funny take, but like, be real about it, and that's a better sketch.
I will say Bowen Yang has the ability that Keenan does for me where he could take a really bad sketch and still make me laugh a couple times.
Like Brad said, he tried his damnedest.
All right, moving on. Weekend update. Elon Musk buys Twitter. Companies cut ties with Kanye West. The weekend update anchors Colin Jost and Michael Che tackle the week's biggest news. Like John Fetterman and Dr. Oz facing off in a Senate debate. Astute listeners will know that the most important question in this podcast is whether or not there was enough emotional connection between the two weekend update hosts.
Not really an emotional connection.
It's emotional.
It's an emotional comedic connection that somehow you can define.
If he says no, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Did you see that I did post on our social media feeds that
you better be happy.
Jost,
you better be happy.
in one of the images was touching Michael Che. Brad, do you think they had enough comedic kind of connection?
No, not this time. No, I'm kidding. I really loved this edition of Weekend Update. Not only did they have like a good banter and like reaction like between them and like laughing at each other's jokes and whatnot, but man, the jokes this time were so good. Like they were scathing with Kanye. The stuff with the Fetterman debate was hilarious.
Michael Che is really leaning into the female stuff.
Yeah, he's really,
the sexist
he's really
jokes?
shooting for doing the inappropriately sexist jokes, and I think it's really funny
It's
too.
funny.
I thought this was a great edition of Weekend Update just between Che and Jost.
Yes.
But aside from that, what made it even better?
Drunk uncle.
Drunk uncle.
My God, I didn't know that I missed Bobby
I
Moynihan
thought the
so
same
much.
thing too.
I thought that he had his time. It was great.
He was on the show a long time.
and he
too.
was, and he did great.
Yeah.
And so my question to you, I will posit, is this, we've seen so many new cast members get a shot, right, on SNL's Weekend Update in the past few episodes. Now we see this old stalwart character that you know and love. Does that color the view of like, he was so good, I can't believe that I've missed him this much? Or has the content on Weekend Update just not been that up to snuff? Because
No, we've had some great Weekend Update.
Yeah, and I think it's just that Drunk Uncle is such a great character, and Bobby
Okay,
Moynihan
that's fair.
is so good at it. And honestly, this edition was just really funny too. Like he just nailed it. It was hilarious.
And Bobby Moynihan he was on a show called Mr. Mayor, I think, right? Mr.
I
Mayor.
loved that show.
Which
was very
got canceled. It was a good show though.
It was.
But you don't see a ton of Bobby Moynihan. And
One thing he has been doing a lot of is voiceover work.
Okay.
He's been voicing some characters in some animated Star Wars shows. He was also on, I think he was on, isn't he on the show that
So you think you can dance?
that Katie Krentz produces?
Oh no! Oh,
Star Trek, Under
Not
Lower
that one. Not that one. The one that's more geared towards kids.
he did talk about.
Yes, I don't know.
I think
I listened to him. It was either on the Conan podcast or on the SNL podcast, but he talked about essentially after SNL wanting to go off the grid per se career wise, and he was paying his bills essentially through voice work.
Yeah,
because he could do it from home.
Exactly.
He didn't have to worry about it.
He also just recently came out with a children's book as well.
I do hope though that he gets back more into acting where we see him. I miss him. I thought he was great in Mr. Mayor. If you didn't get to watch it, there's only I think one episode or one season, maybe season and a half.
2 seasons.
I think the first season was only like a 10-episode half season.
Yeah,
right?
but there's 2 seasons.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's not a ton of episodes, but it's worth it. It's so good.
Yeah.
And he's great in it. Drunk Uncle's wonderful.
A little bit of a humble brag. When I was at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago in 2019, I ran into Bobby Moynihan in the elevator and had like a quick little
Was he nice?
conversation. He was very nice. He's a very nice guy. He's
Did
very
he
cool.
run from you without a mustache and try to press the button over and over again?
And he's also a huge Star Wars nerd too. So like him doing stuff for Star Wars he loves it.
Do you think Drunk Uncle is Ben's final form?
I mean, this version with the beard, absolutely, 100%.
So, Brad, I looked up Bobby Moynihan on IMDb just to see which one you mean, and honestly, I couldn't even tell you because he does. I didn't realize he does so much voiceover.
And here's the thing: I might just be wrong, and I might be thinking that Katie Krantz produced the series, but the one I was thinking of is We Bare Bears.
So, It's Pony looks like a kid's show. Dogs in Space, kid show. Summer Camp Island, Kid Cosmic, Battle Kitty, Lightning Wolves, Marvel's Squirrel Girl, Mr. Mayor, Alice's Wonderland Bakery, Crank Anchors, The Glue Factory, Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, so he has done Lower Decks.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So he is doing.
But We Bare Bears, I think, is the one. That
So he is doing a significant amount of voiceover
Clearly.
work.
Yeah.
But again, though, for those of us that aren't watching these shows,
dude, so good to see.
It's just good to see him.
And also, okay, so
miss him.
a little again. I keep calling it housekeeping. It's not really housekeeping. It's like maybe inside baseball is what the better term is. He calls Colin Seth.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was scripted because it was the reaction from the audience and then the look on Bobby's face, and he goes, "What did I do?" It was.
Is something wrong?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm on the fence about it
because I think he's done that before.
This one seemed
it's
really
what you do if
there.
you're drunk, maybe, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It seemed like not.
It's definitely a bit that has been done before, where a character has purposely referred to the
This
wrong
one
host
just
as
didn't
Seth,
feel purposeful, and the reaction from the audience.
It'd be great if
you
it
looked
wasn't.
at Bobby's eyes. He kind of got wide.
I
would be
did think
great.
of Brad though when he said, "Not my Mario."
At the end, so then maybe this is just me being conspiracy theorist guy, but at the end of the show, during the closing credits, and Colin Jost and Bobby Moynihan are on stage and they're talking. I rewound it like 5 times, and they're having a conversation, and Bobby Moynihan is looking into Colin Jost's face on stage, and he's going, "No, it wasn't. I swear,
Oh, yep.
it wasn't planned."
That's funny.
And so I think that I was trying to read lips, and it really did look like
Very well
they were
could've.
talking about that moment. It was pretty cool, actually.
That is.
All right, moving on. David Pumpkins returns with Jack Harlow, Ego Nwodim, and Andrew Dismukes. Kenan Thompson plays a guard, a 4D ride with various characters. And Punky Johnson plays a woman being stabbed. Sarah Sherman plays Annabelle. As well, the return of David S. Pumpkins and the Skeletons, played by Mikey Day and Bobby Moynihan. David S. Pumpkins has appeared twice on the show before, on October 22nd, 2016, and May 20th, 2017. So this is the third appearance. I did not go into
Does this
episode.
include the animated?
No, because that wasn't
No,
on SNL.
that
That was its
wasn't.
own special.
That was
its own thing.
Ah, you got me.
I went into this not expecting to see David S. Pumpkins, and there was nothing new about this sketch for a David S. Pumpkins sketch, and I loved every second of it.
Absolutely.
I will be a bit of a naysayer here because
Shocking.
because this is the kind of thing that happens when you repeat a sketch. Is that it was not as good as the original.
Nope.
It lost the novelty of the flair of being surprised by Pumpkins himself. And on top of that, this I think was one of the worst moments for Jack Harlow because
He was
completely
awful.
ruined his ongoing bit that was supposed to be somebody like really excited about wanting to pretend like guys, make sure you get out because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna faint. His delivery was trash. His timing was terrible. He almost derailed like the sketch with how bad it was.
It was close. I will say I didn't care. I still loved seeing,
All I wanted was Mikey Day and Tom Hanks, and
so also I
Bobby
think
Moynihan to do their
that maybe
stuff.
because the animated thing was so shitty that now my bar was so low.
I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's just
It's just
they really
bad.
just capitalized
They
on
just
the
did.
popularity.
They
It's
made
like,
money. But now my bar was then now low, and so this one was an improvement over that. It was definitely not an improvement over the first one, but I still had a good time with it. And Bailey and I both laughed pretty hard at a few of the things.
And again, there was a couple other things. The Annabelle thing. That
Oh, yeah,
kind of,
no, and
there were a couple additions to it, that I thought
it was good,
funny,
and
but
I don't know. I mean, I just overall, if you're gonna do a sequel to something, this wasn't the worst you could have done.
I agree, though, Brad. There was nothing
man,
new.
Jack Harlow was
there was nothing new.
Yeah.
Jack Harlow was terrible in it.
I still really enjoyed it.
I did
I
like
just
that
love
they.
seeing Tom Hanks and David.
I
S.
think that's what it
Pumpkins.
is.
I did love that when
I'm
they
sentimental about
that
it.
this time when he slapped the skeleton b-boys on the butt, it did the Mario jumping sound.
Yeah.
And it's instead of part of it, they just changed the words, and I'm expecting them to repeat their old
Yeah.
shit, and they didn't, and so there was something there.
All right, last one before we get to the cut for time sketch. The View, the co-host Whoopi Goldberg, played by Ego Nwodim, Joy Behar, played by Sarah Sherman, Sarah Hines,
Behar.
Oh, I'm down to View Watcher. Sorry, Sarah Hines,
disrespect.
played by Chloe Feynman, and Sunny Hostin. Is it Hostin or Hostin?
It's pronounced Whoopi.
Sunny Hostin or Hostin?
I don't know. I haven't seen any.
I don't know who that is.
I've seen any of the new people. We're OG View fans.
Punky
I'm
Johnson
McCain.
interviewed Jack Harlow, who gets a little
she was on
flirty.
there.
She's not
with
one of the
Whoopi.
OGs.
There's a couple things I loved about this sketch and a lot of things I didn't. The things I didn't always revolved around Jack Harlow. The things
But I will say,
He did a good job.
yeah, I liked him. In
I
the
liked
sketch.
him here.
I wasn't expecting to like the sketch because it's like, oh, good, he's playing himself. Who the fuck cares?
No, that's when he's.
Yeah, but the way he kept hitting on Whoopi
Yeah,
it
was
didn't work for me.
increasingly funny to me.
I felt like no. I
the
felt
one
like
time,
no. I think it could have worked. I think the comedy was there. He could not hit his mark.
I mean, he did
He
the
stumbled over the mark every time.
But he
only
was
slightly.
In my opinion, he was still suave enough in the way he said things that I still thought it was
It
funny.
was like the camera was on him, waiting for him to say his line, and then like a second later, he'd be like, "And Whoopi, what about you and me?"
I will say that Ego Nwodim as Whoopi Goldberg saying "I'm wet" made me cringe. It really did. I was like, "Oh,"
but I was cringe in an exciting way.
Okay, well,
Where I was like, "Ooh, Whoopi!"
a little
boys,
bit. You want to make Whoopi?
I want to make Whoopi.
Now, we do a game on our other podcast. We don't typically hear, but I do have a quiz for you here. What other cast members have played Whoopi Goldberg on SNL?
Kenan Thompson.
Yep.
Yes.
Tracy Morgan.
No.
Really? I thought he did.
Not that I've...
Not that Nate has found out.
Yeah, maybe he did. I'll have to go check.
I would look back further.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
So we said
Let's do this. Whoopi Goldberg on The View.
okay.
Oh, then it's just Kenan, I think.
I'm going to say
aside from Ego, obviously.
let's say Sashir Zameda.
Leslie Jones for years actually played.
Really?
Yeah, for 4 years she played.
How many times?
17.
No, I think probably 3 or 4. Yep.
No recollection of that whatsoever.
And what was the first sketch parodying The View, and who are some of the main characters?
I know that Fred Armisen is Joy Behar.
Yes.
And actually, here's another humble brag for you. When I was in LA, I would constantly, every single week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, go to the UCB theater, Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, and Fred Armisen did a show there once, and afterwards I hung out, and like it's such a small theater and it's such a thing, you can just hang out afterwards and you'll meet all of your favorite comedians. It's like it was the coolest thing, and he was there, and my friend Kevin from college, we would always do Who Cares? You know, like always do that, and that's what Fred Armisen did as Joy Behar. And so like I got a picture of him of both of us like grabbing our shirt and like basically going, "Who cares?" And I sent it to my friend Kevin. So that was a lot of fun.
By the way, you are wrong about that.
No,
it's before him.
The idea though that
I wasn't saying that was the original. I was just saying,
okay,
like I mean, I remember Fred Armisen playing Joy Behar.
You're correct.
The idea that he would be cool enough with you to be like, you asked him for that, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what a nice guy.
He seems like a decent guy. But this is 1997. If that helps you.
1997.
The View in 1997.
Yeah, The View has been on forever.
So Joy Behar
And the
played
first
by,
time SNL parodied The View was a 1997 episode.
Sherry O'Terry as Barbara Walters.
Correct.
I can't even remember the original cast members of The View though.
Gosh.
Can I get them? Who were the original cast members of The View?
Not Kenan yet. So
This is where I think you're
This is where
wrong
I think
about Whoopi.
Tracy Morgan.
Because Whoopi was not on the show yet.
See,
But
that's the-
okay.
Who were the original View cast members? Not the actors that played them. Just
Debbie Metanopoulos,
okay,
Cokie Roberts,
okay,
Star Jones,
okay.
Barbara Walters,
Oh, Tracy,
Tracy
Morgan
Morgan
played
played
Star
Star
Jones.
Jones.
That's
and
what it
Meredith
was.
Vieira.
Played by Anna Gasteyer? No, that's way too late.
I think she was gone by 97. Gosh, I don't even remember. Yeah.
Okay, so who was it?
Anna Gasteyer played Cokie
Oh,
Roberts.
okay.
Claire Danes guested, and she played Debbie Metanopoulos. Tracy Morgan played Star Jones. Sherry O'Terry played Barbara Walters, and Molly Shannon played Meredith Vieira.
Okay.
That's your quiz for
There you
today.
go.
All right, I like it.
Fun.
Good game.
So ending this episode was a cut for time sketch. If you don't know, on SNL's YouTube page, you can find their cut for time sketches. This is the first one actually all season they've posted. But typically there's a couple sketches up to 4 sometimes where
Sometimes they're live sketches from dress rehearsal.
exactly.
Most of the time they're pre-records.
Yep. And so if they don't actually make the cut, they will oftentimes, again, first time this season, but usually they'll put it on the YouTube page and you get to watch them as well. Astute listeners will know that we actually tend to like these sketches quite a bit often.
They're usually better than at least 1 or 2 of the sketches that made it to air.
So this one was JNCO Longs, and it was a play on JNCO jeans.
JNCO Longs. I used to wear.
Wait, I'm going to get into this.
JNCO.
This cover time sketch and advertisement for a new pair of JNCO pant reveals a shocking secret. I wanted to ask you guys before we get into the actual sketch. I never wore JNCO, whatever it's called. I was not allowed to. It just was not something my dad would allow in his house. Did either of you guys wear JNCO? Is it JNCO or JNCO?
JNCO.
JNCO jeans.
Yeah. Ben?
Yes.
Yeah? How big were they?
And did you have a chain?
No, I didn't have a chain.
No wallet chain.
No. My mom wouldn't let me have the wallet chain, but she did say that I could have a pair of JNCOs, but only if she could take a picture of me for future reference. And we have that photo.
Perfect.
Can we get that photo?
I need to find it. She literally did. I remember her telling me
We
that.
need to post that on.
Yeah, we
need
can
to post
absolutely have these as long as I can take a photo of you and just hold it. And
Did you like wear them to school and everything?
I did. I like for a whole like I would say end of school year into the summer. One time, I was doing that. I was listening to like ICP.
Puka shell necklaces.
The whole thing. It was a whole mishmash.
If
Frosted
Brad,
tips.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, of course,
Tips is
of
like
course.
2 years ago.
Hey, I was agreeing all the way up until that.
But if Brad and I throw our money together, our pennies together, and get you a new pair of JNCO,
No.
will you? Will you wear?
No, of course not.
You won't wear them to work for one day?
No!
To the arcade.
Yes, to the arcade, of course.
No. Will you make it?
And the poor team was gone.
No, to my real business that I
Yeah.
actually care about.
It's
No.
not like anyone ever sees you.
That seems weird.
No one
I
ever
care
sees
about
you
the
there.
arcade too.
Brad, did you ever have a pair?
No, I wanted to. My parents would not buy them for me. They thought that they looked stupid, and my
did.
mom specifically said, she's like, "No, you're not a hoodlum." So never got JNCO jeans.
Yeah.
Tried to get jeans as baggy as I could, but they were never JNCO
I
jeans.
had JNCO jeans and a Boss sweatshirt that I wore at the same time.
I had a couple Boss shirts.
Thought that I was
Two
cool.
worlds coming together.
Yeah,
there.
like, what is it? Preppy up top and shitty down to the rest.
I actually got some use out of my Bosch t-shirts that I had later in life because I
You worked at Boss
I
Industries?
did work at Boss Industries in high school, and so I would wear it and I'd be like, yeah, got a Boss t-shirt.
Yeah, they like me so much they give me a promotion. It comes with this nice swag.
Yeah, this t-shirt that has a reflective strip on the logo.
So regarding this sketch, I believe that this was actually Jack Harlow's best acting. I know you guys said there was another sketch that you thought. I thought this was actually his best acting.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah, this is
They got to
definitely-
do it 19 times, and this
yeah.
is the best they got. He was fine.
So it makes me a little more hopeful for the
Yeah.
White Men Can't Jump. 'Cause,
It still wasn't amazing.
But I thought it was really funny. Again, I thought it was going to be. SNL does these kind of pre-tapes where they'll do a silly kind of product and they'll do a commercial for the product, and that's what you think it is going into it. But it ends up becoming this whole different
Which is
thing
so good.
that is silly and funny, and I really loved it.
You
So-
stole money from me for this as a kid.
And I love that like it plays like that cheesy like guitar riff too when it goes into like he's starting to pitch it like it is a commercial. And they're like, no, wait, you stole money.
Stopped him from doing that.
Stop.
I honestly can't believe in this episode that sketch wasn't in.
Yeah.
Man, it was so good compared to
It might
what
not be
we
the
saw.
best sketch, but it was
No,
for
it
me
was
one of the better
Top
ones. Yep.
3
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah,
For sure. Sarah Sherman does well in it.
And
I mean,
again,
just
one of
all
those
the comedy's
instances
really well
where
done.
like she doesn't have her alt style about her, so she looks completely different. It's so crazy when they put like wigs on her with more like traditional hairstyles and like not her like kind of oddball wardrobe and stuff like that. It's so weird to me to see her like dressed up like that.
So at the end of it,
Is she your Heidi Gardner?
What? No, I'm not. I don't have like a thing. I'm always fascinated by how she disappears
Yeah.
into character when she doesn't have her usual
there have been
style.
times where she's been in sketches where I didn't recognize her
Yeah.
because she wasn't in the Sarah Sherman or Sarah Squirm, I forget
Yeah.
what she calls her, kind of get up. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So at the end of every episode, we talk about our favorite MVP player of the night, who we thought did the best. And then we do our favorite sketch. Let's start with the MVP. I told you at the beginning, I already showed my card. Cecily Strong was my favorite.
Yeah, you shot your shot. You did your Baby Ruth thing. It was wrong though because
No,
it's Bobby Moynihan. It's Bobby Moynihan.
Bobby
Are you
Moynihan.
kidding me?
No, not even.
No.
And it's not even close.
Oh,
It's
stop.
Cecily Strong was
She's
funny.
fine.
It was great to see her back. She
You
did
guys are
nothing.
so wrong.
Nothing
Bobby
on par.
Moynihan comes in once, and you're like, "Hey,
The
let's throw
combination,
the whole show away."
the combination of Cecily
You're
Strong's
embarrassing me right
finest
now.
moment in this episode did not match with Bobby
You're
Moynihan.
embarrassing
in this,
me and your parents right
Bobby
now.
Moynihan had, only one silly little makeup dance number that meant nothing. And this is after, of course, but then prior to that, The Weekend update was so good. It's one.
It wasn't the best.
It's
Drunk
one
Uncle.
of the best Drunk Uncles I've ever seen. One of.
No, it was very, very good.
It was top notch.
Sometimes when
It
they
was
bring
good.
back
It
characters
was
like
very
this,
good.
it's not usually on par with
It
the
was
old
very
stuff.
good, but
this
it was not the best.
He-
You guys need to go back and watch.
No,
it.
but it was phenomenal.
He
though.
fumbled-
No, I don't need to go back and watch Drunk Uncle because Drunk Uncle is one of my favorite characters, and I've seen all of Drunk Uncle's bits several times.
Have you heard of Drunk Uncle before?
What?
He fumbled one line kind of towards the open.
Yep.
And fumbled meaning like he delayed slightly.
I like
Other
to
than
say
that,
he Jack
it was
Harlow that.
perfect.
He Jack Harlow that. So what, before we get into our favorite sketch, what did you guys think of Jack Harlow?
We talked about
We
that.
talked
at
about
that
that.
time.
Did you
Yeah.
love it?
Yeah.
Did you
Skip
love
it.
him? You loved him, didn't
Skip
you?
it.
You loved him.
New fan, I guess.
All right. All right, let's go into favorite sketch of the night. We'll start with you, Benny. What'd you think?
Luggage all day long. I really thought that sketch, the AA meeting, was great. Tom Hanks coming in at the end and doing a very much Woody impersonation was awesome. I just loved it so much. I thought that the escalation was great. I thought that even Kenan Thompson's like drawing the boobies on the luggage was funny. The puppetry at the end, everything. That whole sketch really just made me feel good about SNL, like what they're capable of, because in the real world, Pixar does shit like this, right? They make these movies, and it was believable enough where okay, I guess that would be a Pixar movie. And
That
then
song was a banger, by the way.
it was, and the whole thing. I just
I agree
really
with
liked
you.
it.
A meeting was my favorite as well. I thought it was also a great. There was a lot of characters
A lot of
in it.
ensemble
It was-
without feeling
yep.
like, oh, this is what we're running through.
I thought
now.
it was really
Yeah.
funny, really well done.
A close second for me, because for me, I really like when they did Joker.
Oh,
Man,
gee.
Yeah,
no.
it was my
You're
favorite.
so wrong
It
on
was
that
my
one. That
favorite.
was not-
I don't care. I thought it was really
You
funny.
should care.
I laughed more than I did than the Pixar one. I still love the Pixar one. I think it's delightful. I laughed more at the Joker one. It was absurd and silly, and I loved
It
it.
didn't even look like Joaquin Phoenix.
You need to learn how to recognize your movie iconography.
Well,
All right.
Jack
coming
Nicholson is rolling in his grave.
up. All right. Coming up.
Still not.
Next week, we have a new episode. Who is the host, Brad?
Amy Schumer.
And who's the musical guest?
Amy Schumer.
I forget. It's Mark Lacey,
Steve Lacy.
Peter Griffin,
Steve
something
Lacy.
like that.
Am I-
Are there people that do music that I know? I mean, I hate it. I'm so old. I'm so old. Who is this person? Seriously.
No,
I have no
I'm
idea.
I'm not kidding you. My daughter's like, "Oh, Steve Lacy's great," and so I went to go listen, and he's got like a bajillion listens on YouTube. I didn't recognize a single song.
No.
What kind of music
We're
does he do?
So old.
Rap, kind of.
Of course. Great.
Is it a lot of "Hey girl"?
No, it's not like Milli Vanilli. That's done.
No, no.
Is it similar to Jack Harlow?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know.
We're so old.
What's his name again?
Steve Lacy.
Steve.
That sounds like an executive for
I know.
Reebok.
It is.
Or like the owner of the Seattle Supersonics.
Yep.
CEO Steve Lacy said in a statement that Kanye would be cut from their lineup.
I found a picture of him wearing a button down with a shoddy S stitched on it, and then he's wearing a tie. There's also a shoddily cut pink star, and he's wearing these goofy sunglass goggles.
Real quick before we leave, Harlow's monologue. He comes out in an oversized suit. It was very reminiscent of if you cut it together with something from the early 2000s, that's what the style was back then.
Yep.
These really
It's all
oversized
coming
suits,
back.
It's all coming back. 20 years.
All right.
Yeah, big suits are very big.
Seriously. Harlow
Literally and
wore it-
figuratively.
Wore it, and then you look 20 years ago? You were wearing
I
it.
think it was at the Batman premiere earlier this year. Robert Pattinson was wearing a
There
huge
you go.
fucking suit and looked like a goober.
Cool.
All right. Where can people find you online, buddy?
The Men's Warehouse. They got a lot of good deals. And
You like the way you look.
yeah, I guarantee it. No, check me out on Twitter at Ethan_Anderton. Please check out the Slash Film Daily podcast and slashfilm.com if you like reading about movies and TV shows. If you like, getting into some serious junk food, check out Brad's Junk on
That got
Instagram.
real serious, by the way.
Get into my junk.
serious
Look up
junk
Brad's Junk on Instagram, and just rate this podcast 5 stars. Check it out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, all that jazz, and just do that shit.
Go to allthatjazz.com.
Ben, what about you?
Oh, you can find me anywhere, but mainly at Full Tilt Arcade and Pinball.
Yeah.
LaPorte, Indiana, 46350. If you're anywhere, literally, like we had people come up from about 45 minutes away just to play some of the pinball machines we have. It's been actually very encouraging. I met my first people from Chicago. We actually
You never met anyone from Chicago before.
that
Good
came
for
in
you.
specifically to play the pinball machines. I got a message on our Facebook from a guy in Detroit that's going to drive down because we have 3 of the pinball machines that he's been wanting to play. He's going to drive down next weekend to play.
That man's name, Henry T. Ford.
And I love it.
I got to go on Friday and I loved it. I agree. You should go to your
so
arcade.
fun.
It's a lot of fun. Again, like us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. We're there as well. Wherever you can. We'd love to have you. Like us. Because we need your approval.
We do need
so
your approval.
Badly. No, it's good to see the podcast growing. If you want to listen to another podcast, like, you get through this hour podcast, you're like, I need another hour of these jokers. Listen to Go Flicks Yourself.
Jokers.
You can
Jokers.
you can find us on wherever you found this podcast. So, hey, be good to yourself. Be good to others. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.